My name is Ivo Fernandes. I'm a Flutter developer here at Devexperts, and today I'll show you how can we make AI code for us. So I'm coding for the last 20 years, 14 of them professionally, and the last 3 years I worked with Flutter. Before that, I worked as a web developer, and I live in Lisbon. Okay, so first, let's look about to the productivity tools that we are using to do some code. Like we use Android Studio, like an IDE that doesn't have any AI, but have a great static analysis and map all the classes and methods that we need to use to arrive in a final solution. So comparing with the AI solution produces much less errors. Then we have the Copilot that is integrated with the IDE, so we have access to the classes and the methods also, but it tries to mix the static analysis with some AI, so it can give some errors, but can also make more complex solutions. Then we have ChatGPT Plus that have more input tokens and more context. It's also more deep as an AI model, so it can come with better solutions, but can also produce more errors because it's not really integrated with the static analysis and the classes that we are using in the project. Okay, as a disclaimer, you should talk to your manager before putting some production code into ChatGPT or Copilot to discuss if it's legal or convenient to the company to put that kind of stuff. But anyway, we can use ChatGPT and Copilot for educational purposes and to become better developers. Okay, so first, I would say that this AI revolution is not really a single event. Like we had a lot of productivity steps in coding, like the standardization of hardware, the standardization of software. Then we started to have some steps that are more related with reusing code and productivity, like database management, spreadsheet. Then we have like the stuff that is more related with collaboration, like World Wide Web. The ERP and the CRM are more in the productivity spectrum, but then we have the IDE also in the productivity spectrum, and the Git that is more in the collaboration part. So we did a lot of steps to become better developers, and this is just one more step that will make us better and to deliver better products. But it's not like a single event that never happened before. So to give a context of what these revolutions mean, this is how we coded like 20 years ago. When I learned to code, we'll go to MS-DOS to write our program like letter by letter. Everything will need to be correct in syntax terms, and you will need to exit and write that you wanted to compile. You'll receive an error that would say the line that you'll need to go again to the edit and to try to fix it. And if you use Notepad, you don't need to go back and forth to the edit and to the compiler. You'll not even have the line number, so it will be even more difficult. And at that time, before the IDE, we'll need to use like documentation generation that will generate this web page like we are seeing here. That will be the Java docs that will describe all the classes and all the methods that we can use to achieve our goals. And so now let's focus on GitHub Copilot on these AI tools. So first I will show you some Copilot examples of what it can do for us. So in this example, I just inserted some code to generate a capitalized function, and I passed the name of the parameter that I wanted to use. That was company name, and the Copilot just generated the code integrating with the parameters I was passing. And in this other example of the cosine similarity, there is a function to look to two vectors and to see how similar the angles that the vector is doing is. similar or not. And so it has a lot of math involved, but either way, Copilot generated at the first try a great solution, and also integrating with the variable names that we were using. So it's like it's a great step for productivity and to avoid bugs, because like if you'll need to do this by hand, you'll need to do it right and to test it, and it's difficult. And this way, like, you can not even deliver it faster, but even better. And the Copilot also can get the context of the file that you are trying to edit. And if you try to document some stuff, like, it will be very accurate on the documentation part also. Like in this class, I just created the documentation characters, and it just suggested for me a comment that this class was to create a button to pause and play a video that was really accurate, and would help other developers and even ourselves in the future when we come back to this file to understand what is going on. Copilot is also very good, like if you are doing some stuff that you don't really know the API that you need to use. And in this case, like, I just written that I would want to tap the text receive, and it generated the test for me, like the instruction that will tap in the text called receive. And it's very good for learning and to get familiar with the new libraries that you are using. Okay, now about ChatGPT Plus. So this was one of the most mind-blowing experience I had with AI. Like, I was trying to use this CloudKit package, and when I would try to save and to get some key value, it would work fine. So this is to store stuff in the cloud of Apple. But so in Tasty Crypto, we need to store and to retrieve the backup of the wallet. And when you edit the wallet, you need to delete and to write it again so it can be updated. That's why how CloudKit works. And in this case, like, the problem that I got is that the delete was not really returning any response. And I managed to do the commit to fix the stuff, but the thing is that I don't really know a lot about Swift. I'm not really a Swift programmer. I'm just a Flutter developer. And I managed to do this commit thanks to ChatGPT, and I will show you how. So first, I picked the entire code of Swift in the GitHub. I like copy paste the entire Swift code, and I just asked ChatGPT to fix it for me, because I would not know where the problem really is in this library. And what I saw then on Git was that this part was like with some empty, like the developer that developed this library left these parts like empty. And what ChatGPT done was to create like the result, to return the result to Flutter. And I just tested, and it worked like magic. Was really amazing, because like I will need to learn how to code in Swift, and then I will need to discover how to debug this kind of stuff. And was like was really great to have ChatGPT to do this for us, because like it was no time for something that would imply a lot of learning from my side. Okay, as a developer. So as a developer, I will show you this example that I wanted to put create some chart in Flutter. So I already had a library that will give me some stock data from the symbol that I passed with the date and the close price. And I also created like the widget that will receive the stuff, like here, the custom paint and the kind of stuff. And what I wanted ChatGPT to do it for me was to create this paint, to create the logic of drawing the line chart in the screen. And so I copied these both files. And okay, I told ChatGPT that I have these two classes and that I wanted a line chart based on the close price. And the result was this one that we are seeing in the left. In terms of code, in the right, you can see what was the result of the compilation process. So the stuff just worked in terms of drawing the thing, but was drawing these circles instead of the line. So the next step was for me to ask him that I really wanted a line instead of the circle, and that I wanted the line to be green. And this was the final result. Was also quite amazing. Like custom paint is something like an SVG. It's not like an easy beginner stuff for doing in Flutter, and ChatGPT just done it right at the second try. Okay, and there's a code reviewer. Let's see what he can do. So here, I just ask him to review this perform sum function that is splitting in the minus. So this error is very obvious. That is here, like I'm passing a text with two numbers and I'm splitting in the minus instead of a plus. So this ChatGPT can find, but there is something that is not as obvious as this, that like he immediately discovered that we should validate that the length are two elements, because if we just pass one element and split in the minus, what will happen is that you subtract one number with itself and will always return zero. So it's not really performing a difference. So ChatGPT here managed to find a bug that is it needs really an eye for detail to find it, and was really great. Another example of what it can do is like here in shell script, I wanted to generate screenshots in our application, and I looked to the code, and I noticed that I was duplicating a lot of code, because on shell script, like I'm not really an expert in shell script, and I'm not really sure how to create a function and to reuse some code. So I just asked him, how can I do to reuse some code instead of duplicating all the stuff? And he really managed to create the function and to show me how we pass parameters in shell script. And again, it you don't need to spend like a lot of time learning everything. Like if it's something that you don't work that much, if it's something that is like a long tail of skills that we are not using regularly, but sometimes you need it, ChatGPT is very helpful on that cases. Okay, and what other context can you use that? It can also be used to define architectures and strategies. So as a language model, it also have like a big picture understanding of some stuff, at least of the most common paths that people use to arrive to the solutions. And it can also help you to at least to start a research about libraries. Like, of course, language model is trained on quantity and with a lot of data, and will have a bit of a bias toward what is more used, and will not be as good as a human to distinguish if something is not as used but is better for that case. But yeah, for starting a research is quite a good way to do it. And as we are talking about productivity, another thing that I found that is quite useful is that instead of going to a browser that have a lot of tabs and a lot of distraction, you can just go to the settings of the Chrome, to the more tools, and to create shortcut that will create like the progressive web app version that will work like a normal application in your desktop, and will prevent you to go to the browser. And you could have like the IDE in the left and the ChatGPT in the right, for example, in the same screen. and will help you to stay focused on what you are doing. Okay, now about the metrics. So I already told you my personal experience with these AI tools, but there are also some studies that we can use, like GitHub Copilot did a study with almost 100 people, and to half of them, they would code with Copilot, and the other half would code without Copilot. So the difference in terms of the quality of the solution is very low, like it's 78% to 70%. So it's about 10% of difference. So it's not a huge difference, but in terms of the time that the people took to arrive in the solution, there is a big difference. Like probabilities is like it depends on the task, of course. Probably this task did not need a lot of context to solve, because like they are also talking about we recruited someone, so it's not like a very context heavy task. It's someone that just arrived, but anyway, like was much faster to arrive to the solution. And okay, we also have the confirmation that other companies just understood immediately what OpenAI did, that no one was expecting, and just trying to follow. So Meta is also trying to use AI to help their employees to code with more productivity. And we also have Google, of course, trying to follow and going behind OpenAI. Okay, now about the conclusion. So ChatGPT can help us to be more productive, so to develop faster. The productivity is a lot related with doing the same thing, but faster, like with less effort. But we can also increase the quality, as it's proved by GitHub, and how it's really our experience that you can make more tests, you can have a refactor made in an easier way, so it can improve the quality of the solution. It can make you learn something new really faster than it was before. And yes, especially in the stuff that has little context, like for example the cosine similarity was really impressive, because like you just have two vectors as a context, and a lot of people already solved that problem. So in that case, it's like is immediate the solution, and it's very good. And what are the cases where AI models are not that good? Let's see. So if you have a bug that it may be in any part of the application, like it will be quite difficult to use AI models, because like if you don't know where the problem is, what will you pass as context to the AI model? Like if you don't know, like you will have some problem in trying to use this kind of tools. Of course, it's a good idea to use microservices and micro front ends to try to decrease the context that someone needs to fix a problem. But sometimes, like you just have a problem that have a lot of context, and in that case, you really need to do it yourself, and AI will not help you too much. Yeah. And yeah, as I told you before, like AI is very good when things that occurred multiple times. So it's more to the happy path and to what it's more common. Like when you are dealing with stuff that is not that common, like probably you will also be better by trying to do it yourself instead of trying to prompt and don't get anyway anywhere. And yeah, about the stuff of the libraries with low usage. Yeah, if there are not a lot of examples on GitHub or on Stack Overflow about something, like these AI models will not learn by just by reading the documentation. Like they need examples, and they need some stuff to be trained on. So if they don't have this kind of training data, they will also not help a lot. And yeah, and what about you? What are your favorite prompts to pass to ChatGPT?